Snow was coming down in thick, lazy flakes when I walked up my son's driveway on Christmas Eve. I had two bags in my hands, one stuffed with gifts for my granddaughter, the other holding the pastries I baked before sunrise. My fingers were freezing, but my heart was warm. I didn't expect magic, but I didn't expect what actually happened either. I knocked. The door opened a second later. Sam looked at me like I was an Amazon package delivered to the wrong house. No smile. And no Merry Christmas, Mom. And not even a hey. Just a flat, cold stare that hit harder than the wind. "You're early," he muttered. "I didn't want to keep anyone waiting," I answered softly. "Merry Christmas." He stepped aside without a word. The kind of silent welcome. That doesn't feel like a welcome at all. Inside, the house buzzed with noise, laughing, loud chatter, utensils clinking, and music that felt way too cheerful for the mood in my chest. Clarissa's family filled the living room like they owned the place. They were snapping selfies, adjusting hair, touching up lipstick. Not one of them looked my way. Clarissa was perched on the couch, sparkling dress, perfect makeup, phone held high. She glanced at me for half a second and gave the tiniest nod, more like a tap of acknowledgement than a greeting. Then her attention snapped right back to her phone. Ugh, classic Clarissa. But then, Grandma, Mia's little footsteps thundered across the room. She threw her arms around me like I was the real Christmas gift. "Oh, my sweet girl." I hugged her tight, stroking her hair. At least someone in that house still had a heart. "I missed you," she whispered. "I missed you too, sweetheart," I murmured. Before we could enjoy the moment, Clarissa called out without even looking up. "Mia, honey, let Grandma breathe." Mia stepped back reluctantly but stayed glued to my side. I walked toward the dining room and stopped dead in my tracks. 10 plates, 10 glasses, 10 napkins, beautifully set table, but not one single seat for me. I felt the cold hit my spine before the front door even opened for me. I looked at my son. He refused to meet my eyes. Wow. Just wow. Trying to keep myself steady, I placed my pastries on the counter. I reached for Mia's gift to set it near the tree. The second the box touched the table, BAM. Sam pushed his chair back, so hard the sound cracked through the room. Conversations died. Forks stopped midair. Carissa's family froze. Sam stood, jaw clenched, eyes sharp. "Mom, no. Don't put that there." The whole room went silent. Clarissa lowered her phone. Her eyes flicked between us with a cold little smirk. "Sam," I whispered. His voice rose. "You're an OT welcome here. Get a UT." Gasps. A dropped fork. Mia's lips trembling. I stared at my son, the child I raised, the boy whose nightmares I soothed, whose scraped knees I patched up, and waited for him to realize what he'd just said. He didn't. He doubled down. "I mean it. Leave." Clarissa leaned back, arms crossed, watching like she'd been waiting for this moment. My throat tightened, but my face stayed calm. "Sam," I said softly, "I brought gifts for Mia. We don't need anything from you," he shot back. "You weren't supposed to come anyway." Mia grabbed my hand. "Daddy, please don't do this." He ignored her. Wow. The room full of grown adults watched like it was a TV show. No one spoke. No one stood. Not even a whisper. I squeezed Mia's hand, then slowly released it. "It's okay, baby. Go sit down." She shook her head, tears welling. "I want to stay with you." "I'll see you soon," I whispered, brushing her cheek. I straightened my coat, lifted my chin, and told Sam in the calmest tone I could manage. "As you wish." The sentence landed like thunder. He blinked, stunned by my composure. I picked up my bags and walked out. Not rushed. Not broken. Not defeated. Just done. The cold air hit my face as the door closed behind me, quiet final. Something inside me shifted. Something powerful. And that's when everything changed. Oy vey. But Sam had no idea the storm he started that night, and what I planned to do the moment I reached my car. The moment I stepped outside, the cold hit me like a slap. Snowflakes stung my cheeks, but honestly, the sting inside hurt worse. Still, I didn't rush. I walked down those steps slow and steady, clutching the bags like they were the last pieces of dignity I still owned. The door behind me stayed shut. Not a crack. Not a "wait, Mom." Not even Mia's little voice. Just silence. The driveway was covered with a slick layer of ice, but I didn't slip. Not once. My balance was solid, stronger than the people I just left behind. I opened my car door, placed the bags gently on the passenger seat, and sat down. For a moment, I didn't turn the engine on. I just rested my hands on the steering wheel and breathed. Not shaky, not panic, just awake. My son, you really did burn the last bridge, I murmured, and not with anger, with clarity. A soft ache pulled at my chest, but it wasn't heartbreak. It was realization. I pulled out my phone. No hesitation, no second thoughts. I tapped a name I hadn't called in months, Mr. Alden Harrington, my lawyer. He picked up instantly. Adele, it's Christmas Eve. Is everything all right? No, I said, calm as ice. I need you tomorrow morning. First thing. He paused. Then his tone shifted from friendly to fully alert. Is this about the situation you mentioned last month? Yes, I said. It's time. I'll clear my schedule. Be here at 9. I hung up without another word. Just then, I noticed movement through Sam's living room curtains. A silhouette. Carissa. Of course. She wasn't checking if I was safe. She was checking if I actually left. Her posture was stiff and proud, like she'd won some twisted battle. I didn't give her the satisfaction of reacting. I put the car in drive. But before I backed up, my phone buzzed again. A text from Mia. Grandma, where are you going? Oh, my heart squeezed. She didn't deserve any of this. I typed back. I'm okay, sweetheart. Enjoy your dinner. I'll see you soon. I knew Sam would take her phone the moment he realized she messaged me. He always did that whenever he didn't want her asking questions. Controlling wasn't a habit for him. It was a lifestyle. The headlights lit up the snowy street as I began to drive. House after house sparkled with Christmas lights, reds, blues, golds. Kids were playing outside. Neighbors carried gifts inside. Couples bundled up and laughed as they hurried through the cold. And me? I felt nothing but calm. Halfway down the block, another notification pinged on my phone. A voicemail. Blocked number. Yeah. That told me everything I needed to know. By the time I reached home 20 minutes later, the world felt different. My house glowed softly, warm and peaceful, the opposite of Sam's chaotic circus. I walked inside, set the gifts and pastries on the table, and hung up my coat. The quiet was comforting. Steady. Mine. I unpacked the pastries. Still warm. Still perfect. Unlike the evening. Then I opened my notebook and wrote across a fresh page. Family ledger, day 0. I listed everything. Not with emotion. Not with excuses. Just facts. Refused seat at dinner. Public humiliation. Witnesses present. Hostility intentional. Carissa supportive. Mia distressed. When I finished, I placed the pen down. Buzz. A text from Sam. Don't make this dramatic. We talked about boundaries. Really? Boundaries? That man's boundaries only applied when they benefited him. A second text popped up immediately. Mom, just stop. Enjoy your night. We're busy. I placed my phone face down. I wasn't angry. I was done. I walked to the window and watched the snow fall across my yard. Clean. Quiet. Undisturbed. Everything my son's house wasn't. Resolve settled in my chest like a warm stone. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., I would walk into Harrington's office. And I would take back every ounce of control Sam thought he had over me. He told me I wasn't welcome? Fine. I believed him. And now, I was ready to show him what choosing myself actually looked like. But I had no idea someone else, someone I trusted, already knew what Sam was planning behind my back and had seen something in his trash that would change everything. I woke up the next morning at 6 a.m. sharp, same as always. No alarm, no tossing and turning. My body just knew. Funny how trauma doesn't always keep you up at night. Sometimes it wakes you like a drill sergeant. All right, soldier, get up. The fight starts today. I slipped my robe on, made coffee, opened the blinds, and watched the snow covering my yard in a perfect, untouched sheet. Everything looked so calm, so peaceful, so opposite of what happened last night. No ache, no confusion. No. Why did my son throw me out? Just complete, unshakable clarity. I sat at the dining table with my coffee and notebook. New page, new heading. Family ledger, day 1 reset. I wrote everything again. This time clearer, colder, organized like evidence. Public rejection. No seat prepared. Hostility intentional. Witnesses present. Mia distressed. Carissa encouraging him. No apology afterward. There it was. A crime scene without the police tape. Just as I finished the list, my phone buzzed. A group message from the Golden Ladies. Rose, Mary, Ann. Morning walk. Boxing Day routine. We're outside. I smiled. Those women were my unofficial emotional support squad. I threw on my coat and met them at the driveway. All three waved from their SUV, bundled like colorful snowmen. Mary linked her arm through mine as we headed toward the park. Start talking. So I did. Not loud, not dramatic, just factual. The humiliation, the yelling. The moment Sam told me to get out. The table full of strangers who watched me like a scene from a soap opera. Halfway through my story, they all stopped walking. That BOY needs a wake-up call, and snapped. He forgot who raised him, Rose muttered. Mary just shook her head. No seat at the table? That's cold. I lifted my chin. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm telling you because I'm done letting it slide. Rose squeezed my arm. So what's next? I'm going to the bank. Then I'm meeting Harrington. Mary blinked. Today? Yes. Today. No more delays. We stand with you, and said firmly. We kept walking the snowy path, and I thought maybe that was the end of surprises. Spoiler. No. Rose suddenly slowed down, shifting uncomfortably. I raised a brow. What is it? I should probably tell you this now, she said. Mary and Anne both leaned closer. Last night, Rose continued. After you left Sam's house, I was dropping off blankets for the church van. I passed by his side yard. I felt my stomach tighten. His trash bin was open, she said quietly, and I saw him throw something in. A red envelope with your name on it. Full name. It looked official. I didn't blink. Mary frowned. Why would he throw out something that belonged to her on Christmas Eve? Anne crossed her arms. Red envelopes usually mean notices from banks, courts, loan offices. My heart didn't race. It didn't have to. Everything suddenly aligned like puzzle pieces falling into place. The attitude, the panic, the sudden push to get rid of me, the desperation to keep certain things quiet. Sam didn't want me gone emotionally. He wanted me gone legally. I nodded slowly. Thank you, Rose. That helps more than you know. Rose exhaled in relief. I thought it might matter. It does, I said. It confirms everything. We finished the walk in silence. Not sad silence, strategic silence. The kind before a storm hits. When they drove me home, I stood at my door and told them, after the bank, I go straight to Harrington. Today, I take back control. Rose's eyes were fierce. Get them, Adele. I smiled, calm, cold, and ready. Because whatever Sam threw away, whatever he tried to hide, whatever he tried to intercept, I was about to drag all of it into the light. But I wasn't prepared for what the bank manager was about to show me, proof that Sam didn't just cross a line. He bulldozed over it. I arrived at the Bank of Ridgeview at exactly 9 a.m. The parking lot was half filled with early risers, folks paying bills, or doing errands before the holiday haze wore off. I stepped out of my car, purse tucked under my arm, and walked toward the glass doors with the kind of stride you get when you've hit your limit. Inside, the air was warm and smelled faintly of fresh ink and carpet cleaner. The teller near the counter gave me a polite smile, but I didn't slow down. I'm here to see Mr. Ford, I told her. She nodded. He's expecting you. Good. Because I wasn't in the mood for waiting. I walked toward his office at the back of the hallway. Through the glass, I saw him stand the second I appeared. He opened the door himself, a rare courtesy. Adele, please come in, he said gently. His office was neat, organized, professional. Everything Sam's decisions weren't. I sat down across from him, placing my notebook in my lap. What can I help you with today? He asked, folding his hands. I want a full review of every account in my name, I said plainly. Checking, savings, CDs, withdrawals, access attempts, everything. And I want to know if anyone has tried to touch anything recently. His eyes flicked up, attentive. Of course. He typed quickly, screens reflecting in his glasses. After a moment, his eyebrows pulled together. There's something you need to know. My stomach didn't drop. My pulse didn't spike. I'd already braced myself. Go ahead. Your son was here 2 days ago, he said. I didn't blink. For what? He asked about your portfolio, specifically about becoming co-owner on several accounts. I leaned back slightly. Did you approve anything? No. Bless that man. I told him you would need to be present. He was. Unhappy about that. Of course he was. Mr. Ford scrolled further, eyes narrowing again. There's more. I stayed still. Continue. 3 days ago, someone attempted to open a $250,000 credit line using your name. I felt something inside me settle. Not panic, not hurt, just confirmation. In person or online? I asked. In person, he said. The signature didn't match yours, so it was flagged and denied. Do you have the form? He reached into a drawer and handed me a folder. Inside was a copy of the application. The handwriting was sloppy, rushed, like someone thought the bank wouldn't look too closely. But the signature? It wasn't just wrong. It was laughably wrong. And was my son here on that same day? I asked. Mr. Ford sighed lightly. Yes. He came in about an hour after the failed credit line attempt and asked again about adding his name to your accounts. My jaw tightened. Did he mention any reason? No, he replied. He also asked whether you had updated your estate recently. Ah, there it was. I gently closed the folder. Mr. Ford, please lock every account under my name. Fraud alerts, access restrictions, the whole package. No one touches anything without my ID and my signature. I'll do that immediately, he said, already typing. As he printed documents, someone stepped quietly into the room. Rose. She had waited in the lobby, but clearly couldn't sit still any longer. Everything okay? She asked softly. I'm handling it, I told her. She stood next to me, arms crossed, eyes scanning the documents. Mr. Ford printed out detailed activity logs, access attempts, inquiries, flagged alerts, and placed them in front of me. These are the last 30 days, he said. I flipped through them. 3 suspicious entries, all tied to Sam's name or email. Rose let out a low whistle. Girl, this is unbelievable. I didn't look up. No, it's predictable. People tell you who they are. Eventually, you stop pretending they don't. Mr. Ford hesitated, then added. He also asked if you planned to transfer your property title. He didn't mention you were healthy and fully capable. He wouldn't, I said. Mr. Ford printed one more set, neatly stapled and organized. Here. Copies of everything. If anything else happens, I'll notify you immediately. I stood, slipped the folder into my purse, and gave him a firm nod. Thank you. Truly. He nodded back, sympathetic. Be careful, Adele. I walked out with Rose close behind me. The cold air hit us the moment we stepped outside. But this time it felt bracing, invigorating, like my whole spine straightened. What now? Rose asked. I looked at the folder, heavy with evidence. Now, I said, we go to Harrington. Because Sam wasn't just dabbling in trouble. He was sprinting into felony territory. And I had the proof to bury the whole fantasy he'd been building. But I didn't expect Harrington to already have a red file waiting for me. One that revealed Sam had gone even further than I imagined. Harrington's office building sat quietly at the end of Ridgeview's business district, its windows glowing against the snowy morning like a lighthouse for people in trouble. When Rose and I pulled up, the parking lot was nearly empty. A holiday week. Most folks were home with cocoa and leftover cookies. Not me. I was ready to go to war, calmly of course. Inside, the receptionist didn't even need me to speak. She just pointed to Harrington's door. He's ready for you, Ms. Montoya. Oh, I bet he was. I stepped into his office, and Harrington stood immediately. His expression wasn't friendly. It was focused, razor sharp. That man had lawyer mode switched fully on. You brought documentation, he said, eyeing the thick folder in my hand. Everything from the bank, I replied, and every bit of it is bad. He motioned for me to sit. His desk was already organized with notepads, legal pads, and, here's the kicker, a thin red file sitting right in the center. I noticed it instantly. What's that? I asked. He tapped it once with his pen. This was supposed to be shown to you next week, but since your call last night, I moved things up. He opened it, and I saw my name, printed in bold. My stomach didn't flip. I simply said, continue. Harrington leaned forward. Your son already consulted another attorney downtown. I exhaled slowly. About what? Your mental competence. There it was. The attack Sam thought would be his golden ticket. He wants to declare me incompetent, I asked. Harrington nodded. If successful, it would give him legal control over your finances, property, medical decisions. I love it. Well, I said dryly, that's ambitious. He pulled out the initial draft notice. This was mailed to your home last week. Based on what you told me, Sam intercepted it before you ever saw it. Rose made a disgusted sound behind me. That boy. Harrington continued scanning the bank documents I brought. Between the identity fraud attempt, the credit line application, his access inquiries. This is textbook premeditated financial coercion. I clicked open my notebook. Excellent. He just built my case for me. Harrington nodded approvingly. Here's what we're doing. I leaned in. First, he said, we update your will. Effective immediately. Sam is removed as beneficiary. Done, I answered. No hesitation. Second, we move forward with transferring the estate into a protected foundation. Name it, he said, pen poised. St. Helena Foundation for Single Elder Women. He paused. That's specific. My late husband received help from them before he passed, I said. They'll do good with what Sam tried to steal. Harrington wrote it down. Third, I continued, I want everything notarized. Today, hard stamps, electronic copies, cloud backup. No intercepting. No tampering. Already arranged, he said, nodding to his assistant waiting outside with a portable notary kit. This man was on point. As she stepped in and began stamping documents, Harrington turned back to me. I also prepared something else. He opened another folder. A record of intent, he explained. Your written statement explaining why you're restructuring the estate. Pass it here. He pushed the form across the desk. I wrote clearly, every word sharp and true. I am restructuring my estate due to ongoing attempts by my son to access my finances without permission, misrepresent my mental capacity, and isolate me from my legal rights. When I slid it back, Harrington read it and nodded once. Perfect. The notary stamped it. Next question, he said. Do you want to notify Sam now or later? Neither, I answered. We'll find out when the paperwork arrives legally. I want his reaction documented, not screamed at me through the phone. Harrington actually smiled, a tight, approving smile. Smart. Once everything was signed and sealed, I stood and collected the folder. Harrington walked me to the door. Adele, he said quietly. This is the beginning, not the end. I know, I replied, and I'm ready. When Rose and I stepped into the cold, she let out a long breath. He has no idea what's coming, does he? No, I said. He thinks last night was the final word. I opened the passenger door and placed the folder inside. Today, I added, is the beginning of his lesson. And trust me, class was officially in session. But the day wasn't done, not even close. When I got home, I stumbled on a secret phone call that revealed Sam and Clarissa's next move, and it was even uglier than I imagined. After the meeting with Harrington, Rose dropped me at home with a hug so tight it cracked my back. Text me if anything happens, she said before driving off. Oh, something was definitely going to happen. I stepped inside, hung up my coat, set the legal folder on the dining table, and exhaled. For a moment, the house felt calm, like the quiet right before thunder hits. I made myself a cup of chamomile tea and walked down the hallway toward my bedroom. But then, I heard a noise, a faint sound, a voice. Inside my house, my hand tightened around the mug. I moved slowly, carefully, toward the guest room. The door was cracked open about 2 inches, enough for a whisper to slip through. And that's when I heard it. She's signing things, Sam. I know it. Clarissa, inside my house, talking to my son, without permission. Lord have mercy, my blood didn't boil. Oh no, it froze. Ice cold. I leaned closer. I told you. Sam hissed through the phone, his voice muffled but unmistakable. She's getting paranoid. She's probably giving money away. Clarissa scoffed. Then hurry up. You need control before she changes everything. Changes. Everything? Honey, that ship had already sailed. Sam sighed. I'll try again tomorrow. I'll show her the papers and tell her it's just medical stuff. Medical? The audacity of this boy. Clarissa lowered her voice. Just fake being worried. She'll sign if you scare her. My jaw locked. Scare me? This girl had no idea what generation I came from. I survived things before she even learned to contour her cheekbones. Then Clarissa said something that made my stomach turn, not from fear, but disbelief. And what about the house? Can you get her to move in with us? That'll give us more leverage. Leverage. Not love. Not care. Leverage. And that wasn't even the worst part. Sam replied, yeah, once she's in our place, I can keep an eye on her. And her mail. Her mail. H-E-R. Mail. I gripped the doorframe hard enough to hear the wood creak. Clarissa kept going, voice sharp as a tack. We need access to everything before taxes go through. If she won't sign willingly, we'll have to say she forgets things. You know, play it like she's slipping. Oh, I'm slipping all right. I muttered under my breath, slipping right into beast mode. I'd heard enough. I pushed the door open gently. No slam, no anger, just calm, cold presence. Clarissa froze mid-sentence, phone in hand, eyes wide like a raccoon caught stealing from the pantry. Oh, Mrs. Montoya, I didn't hear you come in, she stammered. Clearly, I answered. She scrambled to end the call. Sam, I'll call you back. No need, I said. I'll handle Sam myself. Clarissa stood awkwardly, smoothing her shirt, forcing a smile that made my teeth itch. I was just, checking on you. By breaking into my house, I asked. She swallowed. Sam gave me the spare key. Correction, I said smoothly. He gave you a key, not permission. She stayed frozen. I didn't raise my voice, didn't threaten, didn't insult. That's not my style. Instead, I stepped closer, close enough for her perfume to mix with the scent of my chamomile tea. Clarissa, I said calmly, there's something very important you're forgetting. She blinked rapidly. What? This house, this property, this life? I gestured around. It isn't yours. And it isn't Sam's. Her face paled. I continued, my voice a warm whisper lined with steel. And whatever plan you two cooked up, consider it burned. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Not even a fake apology. I pointed to the front door. You're leaving now. She hesitated only 1 second, then scurried out like she heard wolves behind her. I locked the door the moment it closed. The silence afterward wasn't scary. It was powerful, empowering. I picked up my tea, took a slow sip, and whispered. Round 1 complete. But then, 2 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Sam, of course. Except, it wasn't a call. It was a voicemail. I pressed play. Mom, we need to talk. NOW. His tone wasn't angry. It wasn't apologetic. It was nervous. And that told me one thing. He knew something had shifted. Something big. But I wasn't ready for what happened when Sam finally showed up at my door. Because the confrontation that followed didn't just end the fight. It ended the entire relationship. I didn't rush to listen to Sam's voicemail again. I didn't pace. I didn't let worry gnaw at me the way it used to. Instead, I finished my tea, washed the mug, set it on the rack, and waited. If Sam wanted a confrontation, he'd get one. But this time, I wasn't the soft, apologetic mother he'd steamroll anymore. 20 minutes later, tires crunched over the snow in my driveway. Then heavy footsteps. Then pounding. Mom, open the door. He wasn't nervous anymore. He was panicking. I walked toward the door with steady steps and opened it only halfway. Sam stood there, face flushed, breathing hard, snow stuck to his coat like he'd run through a storm. What did you do? He demanded. I raised a brow. Good morning to you too. This isn't funny, he snapped. Clarissa said you threw her out. She let herself in with a key she wasn't authorized to use. I folded my arms. Would you like to try again? Maybe with manners this time? He glared at me, jaw tight. I'm serious. So am I. He huffed, ran his hand through his hair, then lowered his voice. Mom, listen. You're not thinking clearly. You're acting confused, forgetting things. There it was. The script. The manipulation rehearsed in the mirror. I didn't react. I simply opened the folder Harrington prepared and held up a single sheet of paper. Is this why you were trying to get me declared incompetent? His face drained of color so fast I almost felt bad. Almost. Mom. It's not like that. Really? Because according to the bank, the lawyer you saw, and the voicemail you left them, I tapped the document. It's exactly like that. He swallowed hard. I was trying to protect you. By forging my signature on a credit line, by asking about transferring my house, by trying to intercept my mail. He froze. That last one hit him like a punch. He didn't expect me to know. Mom, I was just trying to help. You don't understand. No, I said firmly. You don't understand. I stepped closer. Calm, collected, spine straight. I raised you alone. I worked 2 jobs. I gave up vacations, nights out, hobbies, health. Everything to make sure you had a life I never had. His eyes dropped. And you repaid that. I continued. By throwing me out in front of a room full of strangers on Christmas Eve. Because controlling my bank accounts was more important than respecting me. He shifted uncomfortably. But I didn't give him room to speak. You humiliated me. You planned to manipulate me. You tried to strip me of my rights. Mom, please. No, I said louder. Not yelling, just firm. A conversation is mine now. He closed his mouth. I walked to the side table and picked up the stack of notarized documents. These are my estate revisions. Everything is locked. Everything is protected. You have no power over anything I own. His eyes widened. Mom, are you serious? You cut me out? You cut yourself out. I corrected. I simply signed the paperwork. He blinked rapidly, breathing shaky. But I'm your son, and I'm your mother, I said quietly. And not your wallet, not your investment, not your pawn. His shoulders collapsed slightly. For the first time in years, I saw something like remorse flicker across his face. But remorse is just regret wrapped in panic, not real change. He whispered, "What about Mia?" At that, my heart softened, but only toward her. "She'll always have me," I said gently. "But you? You and I need distance. Real distance. Until you choose therapy, accountability, and honesty. I can change," he whispered. "I hope you do," I said sincerely. "For your sake, for your daughters." Then I stepped back and placed my hand on the door. "But you can't change here. Not today." He stared at me like he didn't recognize the woman standing in front of him. Maybe he didn't. Maybe for the first time, he finally saw me. Not the mother who bends, breaks, and sacrifices, but the woman who rebuilt herself. I opened the door wider, not to let him in, but to let him out. "Goodbye, Sam." He stepped back slowly, eyes shining with emotions he didn't know how to process. "Mom, please don't do this." I shook my head. "You already did." And then, for the first and last time, I closed the door. Soft, final, unshakable. I leaned against it, not from weakness, but from relief. My home finally felt like mine again. My life felt like mine again. In my future, protected. Christmas didn't take anything from me. It gave me clarity. And honey, clarity is the strongest gift of all.